When did the last person you expected come to your rescue? On the night of my wedding, when I was supposed to undergo our horrific community ritual, the sacred claiming. In my community, every bride was expected to spend her wedding night being broken in by the village elders because they said virgins belonged to the community before they belonged to their husbands. Elder Elias was our disgusting 70-year-old leader who claimed God spoke directly through him and controlled everything in our isolated religious settlement. My parents worshipped him, and whenever he visited our house, Mom would practically grovel at his feet. "Your daughter has such pure eyes," he told my parents when I was 13, running his wrinkled fingers through my hair while I tried not to vomit. "She'll make a perfect offering when the time comes." When I turned 18, Elder Elias knocked on our door at 6 in the morning with a massive grin on his face. "Congratulations," he announced to my parents. "I've selected young Levi as your daughter's husband, and the ceremony will be next month." My mother started crying tears of joy while my father shook Elias's hand repeatedly, but I felt my stomach drop because I knew what came next. Elder Elias pulled me aside and his eyes lit up. "Now let me explain your sacred duties as a bride," he said, licking his lips. "Before your husband can touch you, all 12 elders will spend your wedding night preparing your body for marriage." I stared at him in horror while he described what each elder would do to me, how they would strip me bare and housebreak me into the perfect lover for my new husband. "You should feel honored," he whispered, "because God has chosen you." The next month was pure psychological torture as I watched my mother plan my wedding while I counted down the days to my assault. I started sobbing every time someone mentioned the ceremony, and I would lie awake at night thinking about the other brides in our community who came back from their wedding nights looking like zombies. My mother tried to comfort me. "The pain only lasts a few hours," she said, "but the spiritual benefits last forever." One day at dinner, I overheard Elder Elias talking to the other elders. "This is the most beautiful bride we've had in years," he was saying, practically drooling. "I can't wait to break her in properly tomorrow night." I imagined that wrinkled mouth on my body, and I knew I couldn't go through with this. So that night, I packed a small bag and escaped through the community gates. I made it past the guards and to the main road, where I flagged down a truck driver who took me to the nearest town. For 3 incredible days, I stayed in a women's shelter and felt what freedom was like for the first time in my life. I could eat what I wanted, sleep without fear, and nobody was planning to assault me. But then Elder Elias showed up at the shelter, claiming I was his mentally ill daughter who had run away from home. He had fake medical documents saying I was delusional and needed to return for treatment. The shelter workers believed him because he seemed so concerned and fatherly, and they helped load me into his van despite my screaming protests. When we got back to my parents' house, I was still fighting. "I would rather die than let you animals touch me," I screamed. My mother slapped me across the face so hard the whole world spun. Elder Elias was furious that I had dared to defy their sacred tradition, so he decided to make an example of me. "Since you tried to run away from your divine calling," he announced with a sick smile, "you'll now spend an entire week with the elders, and your wedding ceremony will be performed publicly so everyone can witness your submission." They locked me in the community prayer house, and the elders took turns visiting me to explain exactly what they planned to do. But right when I felt like all hope was lost, someone came to my rescue. Levi, my intended husband. He came to the window of the prayer house the night before we were supposed to be married, and he was shaking. "I just found out what the sacred claiming actually is, and I'm horrified," he said. His family had moved to our community when he was 12, so he had never witnessed the ritual firsthand, and genuinely believed it was just a blessing ceremony. "I heard Elder Elias and the others talking about what they're going to do to you," he said, "and I can't let this happen. I'm bringing the police here tomorrow night to catch them in the act." The next evening, just as Elder Elias was entering the prayer house with 2 other elders for my first night of preparation, police burst through the doors with guns drawn. Levi had led them straight to the scene, and they caught Elder Elias in the act of unlocking my cell while describing what he planned to do to me. Our entire religious settlement was disbanded, and I watched Elder Elias get dragged away in handcuffs while he screamed that we were all going to hell. Levi testified alongside me. I escaped that hell, but I lost everything else in the process. My parents disowned me for destroying our sacred way of life, and I'm now completely alone with no family or community. I still have nightmares about what would have happened if Levi hadn't overheard the plan and had a conscience, and I struggle with trusting men because of what those monsters taught me. But at least I'm free, and no young woman will ever have to endure the sacred claiming.